Hey guys, so today we're taking a look at the Blockbuster from Kotobukiya's Hexagear line. The first and quite probably the last vehicle model from the Hexagear line that I'll get, and maybe just model in general. From this experience, I have to say, very interesting. It's definitely a really unique line of kits from my experience building this, and not bad at all, for sure. And you guys will see over the course of the review, I don't think this is a bad model at all. It's very fun, I think, and quite interesting, but it does also feel more like a toy. It feels a little bit more like some weird like Connects, Lego, or Bionicle or something like that. So if you guys have built that, if you guys are into that kind of stuff, you could probably like this. It's a little bit more expensive alternative and probably a little bit nicer in terms of just like the detailing and the fine crafting on some of this part, on some of this stuff. Just being a Kotobukiya kit, you'll have some really nice detail on some of the parts and just some really cool model aspects of this, but it still just feels a little bit like a toy, which is weird. Once it came together and I started working with it a little bit, I really felt like how easy this is going to be to customize and mix and match parts with, which is kind of the whole point of the Hexagear line, as with a lot of Kotobukiya lines actually, but with the Hexagear line in particular, they want you to be able to mix and match parts and change parts and change up the forms of things, and for it to be super easy to customize, and I definitely feel like that is the case with this. I haven't tried doing a lot of customization with this at all really, but if that's the kind of thing that you're looking for, then I think you'll definitely be very happy with the kits in this line. So at the moment, I've got the Blockbuster standing up very tall just because I can't get the legs any farther spread out on the base that I'm using to show it to you guys, but I'll show you this in a few different poses and things like that, of course, over the course of the review, and then we'll take a look at how it's going to work with a governor piloting that in the kind of motorcycle body that you have like kind of set inside of this weird flying thing. But before we get into that, as always, a huge thank you to USA Gundam Store for sponsoring this review, guys. Check the link to USA Gundam Store down there in the description, and you can use that coupon code there, ZakuAurelius10, to save 10% off anything in the store. Gunpla and their ever-expanding selection of Kotobukiya kits there as well. Now let's just real quick talk about what all you get included with this kit, and it is going to be real quick because you really don't get much included with this other than just the main vehicle itself, aside from an assortment of connection pieces. So the first thing, I'll just point out a few bits here. This little dome part there on the back can be taken off. A little bit easier said than done, but then once you get that off, you can see you got a hard point there. Plug in one of your connection pieces like that. And there you go, you can connect whatever other weapons and something you want under there. And this is not an accessory, but you can also remove this panel here on the top of this kind of engine section. Also apparently much easier said than done. Yeah, there we go. So there you go, you got a hard point there as well. And on a real quick, completely unrelated side note, do you guys have this where if you're like watching a movie or something at the time while you're building a kit, then anytime you're like touching the kit or like looking at the kit, you're always reminded of that movie? Well, right now I'm very much reminded of Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, because that's what I was watching while I was building this. So aside from the set of two little connectors for the back of there, you've got a whole bunch of these parts here, which are all for just different kinds of connection for different Hexagear stuff, making different joints and things for joints and connections, connecting different parts to different things and other joints, and so you've got a whole lot of stuff to work with here. So as you can imagine, there's a lot of like articulation built into the whole thing, as it's very like plug and play with everything, but I'll go over some of the articulation of this like just as it is. So this front part will rotate side to side. You can also move that up and down as well like that. These silver bits at the end tend to fall off very easily, so just be careful with those. The canopy does of course open up like so, which is very nice. These handlebars here also can move a little bit side to side, but not really all that much. There is some kind of nice detail in there for like the dashboard of this kind of machine there with some like screens and buttons and things like that. So once that's all painted up really nicely, that should look really good. And speaking of painting, we do have our pre-painted part here on the front. So those little pink and blue bits in there are not stickers, but those are just pre-painted on the parts just straight out of the box. The main engines here are just connected on a ball joint, so you can just move that around like that as you need. And then each of the four legs are essentially the same. They can move back and forth, and then also up and down at a series of 1, 2 joints there. So you can move that out like that for a more spread out stance, which is kind of how it's meant to be, which definitely looks much better like that. And there's another joint here in the center of the leg there. You can move that a little bit. And then at the foot, you can also move this part a little bit up and down like that, and there's like a cool piston detail there. That doesn't move at all, but it does look nice anyway. And one more real quick thing that I should also mention that it is included here in the box is this really cool card here with some really nice artwork of the Blockbuster there on the front, and a bunch of information there on the back in Japanese. But just in case you guys didn't see the unboxing video, this is also included in the set here. And another thing I forgot to mention, this back part does also open up like that, and you have some space here, some kind of like storage slots where you can store some different Hexagear like governor's weapons there. You can store in there in a couple different ways. So that's also a nice little addition there to use when you're using this with the governor. Now, if you want to put this up on an action base, you'll use one of the many included extra parts here. You just plug that into just one of these slots here. If I could not drop that, and then you can just use that with your action base. Now we can talk about some size comparisons, and in my last video we took a look at the Governor Light Armor type Rose here, and I talked about how small that was, and it's even, I mean, it's very small. You can see like compared to this machine, I didn't really even expect it. I actually built the machine first, and I expected the figure would be a little bit taller even to fit into there, but it's very, very small even as you can see just compared to that. So quite small indeed. And then compared to a HG 144 scale Gundam kit, you can see it looks like about that. So I think it would definitely be a squeeze to try to fit a Gundam inside there. If you had like one of the smaller HG kits like the Crossbone kit or something like that, you might be able to squeeze that inside there maybe, but it really probably wouldn't be the best idea. Alright guys, and then up on an action base, it does look pretty cool. You can fold the legs up underneath that for when it's kind of in its sort of flight mode, I guess you could say. And yeah, it looks cool. This thing, I definitely really like this, and that's the reason why I chose this particular kit out of the many different Hexagear kits that have come out so far, and I'm sure many more on the way. But this one is definitely the one that I think is the most interesting looking, just this kind of like flying bug sort of thing, and also just kind of looks like the forest speeder from Star Wars, of course, with that long bit out the front. So it makes for a pretty cool looking sci-fi vehicle model. Now I don't know if ultimately I'll end up keeping this with this particular governor in terms of like a character model to be with this. I might end up using something different like a 120 scale Mac K figure or like a resin figure or something like that to be paired up with this ultimately, but not quite sure at the moment. Anyway, this is a pretty cool kit, definitely interesting, but like I said at the beginning of the review, I don't think I'm going to be too interested in getting many more from the Hexagear lineup unless I see one that I also kind of like and it's at a really good price, or if they release one in the future that it looks like super cool to me. You know, I'm not going to rule it out, but at the moment, based on what is currently available, I'm not really too interested in getting any more. This one is cool and I like it, but yeah, the line I think is just not really to my personal taste all that much. The quality of course though is really nice, and the thing is just really cool in general. And aside from the articulation that I showed you guys, you can of course add points of articulation here and there using the extra joint parts that you have, and of course, like I said, just mixing and matching and customizing this to exactly how you might want it, and then mixing it with other kits in the line is very simple and easy to do, I think. So of course some of the parts will be very dedicated, like specifically like the little wing that attaches onto the side of the engine. It's not like you could just stick that onto anywhere. It's specifically made to fit into that specific part, but for the most part, like the main parts of this, like the main like body and the legs and the engines and like the front part are all just plugged on via the same like hexagonal joints there at the center kind of main torso of that. So with all the hard points and joints everywhere and everything like that, it's going to be very easy to mix and match parts, I think. So if that's what you're looking for, then check out the Hexagear line. It's pretty interesting. If you guys do have any other further questions or comments, of course, leave those down below. Have you got any kits from the line? What do you think of it so far? Is it something that you think you're going to be interested in, or has this reviewed also made you kind of think like, alright, maybe that's just not really for me? Whatever your thoughts are, leave those down below. I look forward to hearing from you guys. Thank you so much for that. And also in the description, check the link to USA Gundam Store and check out what they've got in terms of Kotobukiya kits if you want to check out some stuff there, or Gunpla or whatever, and save 10% on all of that with that coupon code there in the description as well. With that, guys, I hope you're having a great day. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Hey! Thanks for watching, guys. Remember, if you want to check the kit out for yourself, you can head over to USA Gundam Store. Use that coupon code ZakuAurelius10. Save yourself 10%. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time. Bye-bye.